Hi, these are most of the books that I read from January to March, and today I'm gonna tell you about them. Hello everyone, it's been a while. My name is Orion, but you can call me Ori, and this is my channel where I talk about books and writing and some other stuff. And today I'm gonna be talking about the books that I read from January to March. Here are most of them. So I think I read like one or two in digital, so I don't have them here today. And I'm sure this setting looks really unfamiliar right now. The camera is actually really far away, so I'm having to talk a bit loud, but I don't think it's loud enough. I'm recording downstairs because there's a lot of noise upstairs, and it's a bit messy because we're currently doing some renovations, home renovations, so yeah, it is what it is. And today I am accompanied by my trusty reading journal because I don't have very good memory, and honestly I've already forgotten like the order in which I read the books this year. So I don't know, let's just start. I read 12 books between the months of January and March, and I'm going to be talking about the 12 of them. Some in a little bit less detail than others because I actually reread some books. And well, you'll see. But anyways, let's start with our first book, which I actually don't have in physical, which was The Handmaid's Tale. So The Handmaid's Tale was the first and only book so far that we have read in my book club. Um, it's difficult to organize when you're all working adults. But The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood is a book. It's technically part of a duology. I think it has a sequel, but it can be read as a standalone and you'd be set. About a sort of dystopian future. Sorry, I forgot the word dystopia. Dystopian future in which um, the United States has kind of changed the rules and has made it so that women don't have rights anymore again, and they are divided into three categories. I don't remember the names of all of them, but I think it was like Econo Wives. No, that's not right. It's like Marta's. Um, wow, I have such bad memory for this, but women are divided in like three categories, which um, tell them what are their duties. So there's wives, which I think that's the name for them, which are the women who are of like high status enough that they get married to men of high status. Then there's Martas, which are like servants, and then there's I think they're called handmaids, but I'm not sure. I think yes, because that's the name of the book, which are women who are fertile or who have proof that they are fertile and they are there to provide children. Um, yes, it sounds horrible because it is. And there's also Econo Wives, which have to do all three things, and they are for like lower class men. So our book follows the perspective of. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. Why am I reviewing books if I cannot remember a single detail? I don't remember her name. Offred? I don't know. Our book follows our protagonist who has just been who is a handmaid and has just been transferred to the house of like a very distinguished and like high status commander, and it follows her kind of life in that house, and also shows us like her memories of the past, that the life that she had before the United States turned like that, and her life during her training as a handmaid, and then her life in that house. I really like this book. It's a really strange book because not a lot is happening. It's one of those books that feels sort of a slice of life, in the sense that you're really just seeing the life, the daily life of a character throughout a specific like period of time. So it doesn't feel like a lot is happening, in terms of like action, but it is so grim. Like the reality of it is so grim, and it just captivates you in ways that you wouldn't expect. Like you have to keep reading because you feel this need to understand what is happening and how we got to that point. I really enjoyed the book. I got super absorbed in it. I also feel like that book made me more paranoid. Like for a few weeks, like to a month after I read that book, I could not stop thinking about it, and I was just really paranoid about everything related to the government. So I mean, there's that. It's a really good book. I gave it 4.5 stars. I think the only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because it like I could put it down. I didn't always feel the need to just continue reading. It was very easy to put down if I was like tired and stuff. And to me, like that makes it a little bit less of 5 stars. Yeah. So that was my first book of January. Then my second book is one that we have in physical, and it is A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Poranek. So this book, I actually got it as a gift during the Christmas exchange of the book club, and I read it also in January. This book follows, I'm actually gonna help myself here with the summary. So this book follows Odile, who is a sort of sorcerer, and she basically, sorcerers in this book have like golden blood, and they are considered cursed and like traitors to the kingdom, to the crown, and stuff. So she is trying to retrieve an artifact. Oh, this is here. I'm just telling you, and I'm just not reading it exactly. She's trying to retrieve the king's crown, which is said to be an artifact that has enough power to restore the magic that was stolen from the kingdom by one of the three goddesses that these people kind of like follow or serve or believe in. So to do this, she wants to infiltrate the castle as her ex-childhood friend Marie Deodat, who is one of like the candidates for marrying the prince. So to do this, she turns Marie into a swan and then transforms herself into Marie and infiltrates the castle. And stuff happens, like a lot of stuff happens. It's quite chaotic. Literally, this is also here. While she's there, pretending to be Marie, the king gets murdered, and the prince, no, not the prince, sorry, Odile's brother, who is a knight, who is the prince's knight, gets framed for the murder. So now Marie is like caught between trying to help her brother who betrayed her, pretending to be Marie, while keeping the real Marie away from things so no one realizes her plot, and recovering the mythical crown to bring the power back. I really enjoyed the book. It was fun. Like I really liked it. But I felt like the romance was advertised as a bigger part of the book than it was. Don't get me wrong, like the romance is very cute, it was really sweet. I liked because there's two couples. There's like the main couple, and there's a secondary couple which was also cute, but we didn't get to see a lot of. And I feel like when I was seeing this book on like TikTok and stuff, it was advertised as a bigger romance than it was. What I did like a lot about this book was the ambience. Like I feel like it had very good ambience. It was my favorite part of it because it's narrated in such a like fairy tale way. It feels like a modern fairy tale in a way, and I really like that about it. I also really enjoyed the Emce's internal conflict. Like Odile's internal conflict was done really well. I really liked her way of thinking and her way, like the way she expressed how she was feeling and what she did with those feelings. But I did not like the ending very much. The ending felt a little rushed. I feel like it was almost like the author wanted to do a second book and then decided against it and rushed the ending a little bit. So I didn't love that. But I like the ambience quite a bit. I think it's a good read. It's an entertaining read above everything. So I give it 4 stars because it's very entertaining. It has very good ambience, and like I liked the magic system. The magic system in this really interesting. I actually quite liked it. I wish it had been explored a little bit more in depth because it was really interesting in that sense. Okay, on to our third book, which we also have here, and this one I was so excited to read. It is Don't Let the Forest In by C.J. Drews. So Don't Let the Forest In follows the perspective of Andrew Perrault. That's such a posh name, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm using the word posh right, by the way. I've never actually used it, but I've heard it, and I think I'm using it right. Who has a lot of like social anxiety, and he really likes writing like very grim and dark fairy tales to kind of deal with his anxiety. So he finds comfort in the horror, in the macabre. Macabre? How do you pronounce that? Anyways, and he has like 2 people that he depends on, which are his twin sister Dove and his best friend Thomas Ryle. And they go to this like academy, which is like boarding house, so they stay there, and Andrew rooms with Thomas, and then he sees Dove around. However, upon like returning to this semester, I think, or period, or however it's called, Dove starts acting really cold towards both Andrew and Thomas, and Andrew starts like leaning more on Thomas than he does on Dove because she's kind of like missing, and he's feeling really lost about it because Dove is the one who like really centers him. But on the other hand, upon returning, things start also getting really weird with Thomas, and they discover that for some reason the monsters that Andrew has written about and that Thomas has drawn, because Thomas is an artist, are becoming real and are trying to attack them. And so they are coming every night to attack them and to attack the school. And so they start fighting those monsters to try to keep everyone else safe. However, Thomas and Andrew have like this really codependent, obsessive relationship. And because Dove is kind of out of the picture because she's ignoring both of them, this codependent relationship starts getting so much worse, and the monsters start getting worse also. So Andrew starts getting like really worried. I get this all in the summary. He starts getting really worried that maybe the only way to stop the monsters is to destroy the creator of the monsters, which in this case would be Thomas. This book was so good. I feel like this is the type of book that happens when you allow yourself as a writer to just be weird. To just be a little bit weird, to just be a little bit of a freak. This book is just beautiful. It is as beautiful as it is haunting. Like, it's very haunting. I was very haunted while I was reading it. And I feel like Andrew is one of the main characters that I've related to the most in a very long time. I usually feel very empathetic of the characters I'm reading, but I don't always relate to them. And to me, Andrew, like, I could just relate to Andrew so much, like his anxiety, the way his anxiety is portrayed, I could see myself in him very easily. And he often struggles with feeling like weak and powerless, and I also feel like that a lot. I would define like the themes in this book. I feel like it's about gaining autonomy, about like taking control over your fears, and I don't know, I genuinely adored it. Vibes 10 out of 10, characters 10 out of 10. um story, like plot, 10 out of 10. I like that it's a book. I like when books sometimes, like sometimes I feel like with fantasy or like stuff like that, we tend to over explain everything. We want everything to be on paper, like this is this way because of this. Here they don't explain you some things, but you don't need to know them. Like you just need to know they are facts and they are happening, they are real in the universe of this book. And as soon as you accept that, the book becomes like really, really enjoyable. um it was one of the books that had me like just repeating it in my head over and over. I actually cried quite a bit with this book, and I hope to reread it soon so I can annotate it. I didn't annotate it just in case I didn't like it, but I absolutely loved it. And again, I feel like this is one of those books that is a result of the author letting themselves be a little bit insane. And I feel like if more authors allowed themselves to just be weird and to just really write what they're thinking about instead of limiting themselves because they fear someone's not going to like what they're writing, they will get more high quality books like this that are genuinely just gripping. You can tell that it is a work of love from the author, and that makes it really, really enjoyable. And that was my last book of January. So now we're moving on to February. And in February, I started with this really small and short book called En esta casa hay fantasmas. There are ghosts in this house, or this house is full of ghosts, is how I would translate it, by Noemi Uloa. So this is a collection of short stories. I think it has 10 short stories that I bought from an independent author from a small publisher at the book fair in Mexico City. I actually showed it in the blog that I did for when I went to Mexico City in October. This was a good read, like it was fine. I felt with some of the stories, so it's 10 or 8 or something like that, different short stories, and they are not connected between them. And I really like the prose, but I felt there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. I felt like they ended up owing me something. Like it felt like they were incomplete in a way. Like I really like the concepts of most of them, and I really like the prose, but I didn't feel like the stories were finished or like they were complete. So I don't know, I didn't feel like satisfied reading this book. I cannot really tell you that much because I don't remember the stories all that well. I do remember one that I think was probably my favorite because the one that I remember, um, which I don't remember what the title is, because I feel like some of the titles had nothing to do with the the rest of the stories. But there were like one or two that I really liked, and I would have liked if they went more in depth, I guess. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars because I wasn't fully satisfied. And I think I didn't say, but Don't Let the Forest In, I gave it 5 stars. Okay, next up in February, I read the beautiful graphic novel of The Raven Boys. I wasn't gonna, oh, this is so heavy. I wasn't gonna buy this, but then I did because I was like having a hard time at work, and I was like, you know what would make this better? If I had one of my favorite books as a graphic novel. I really liked it. I obviously didn't like it as much as the original books, but the thing is, I want to explain what the Raven Cycle is about, but it's really, really hard. But the Raven Cycle basically follows the story of a group of 5 friends who are following one of them, whose name is Gansey, who is trying to find Glendower, who is an old king. I think Saxon king? Not sure, I don't remember. Which I probably should, given they're some of my favorite books, but I feel like who Glendower is isn't as important as what he represents, so that's fine. And along the way, like that's one part of the story, but then the other part is we have Blue, who is one of the other characters, and is kind of our main character, who from the moment she had the ability to understand words, she was told that she would kill her first love or her true love when she kissed him. So you can see how it's difficult to explain this book. Like there's a lot going on, like a lot. Um, but yeah, they are my favorite fantasy series. And I really like this. I feel, however, that the adaptation kind of skipped some of my favorite scenes. That made me a little bit sad because I would have liked seeing those scenes in comic form, visual novel form. But still, it's a wonderful adaptation, it's a wonderful art. Mostly the scenes that it skips are ones that are kind of showing the banter between the characters, so they're not necessarily important to the plot, but they are important to the relationship of the characters. So that's why it felt like it was missing, because one of my favorite things of these books are the characters and how they get along with each other, and that felt a little bit lacking. But I still give it 4.5 stars because it's very good and it's really, really pretty. Okay, next, this I'm not gonna spend too much on, but next was my reread of the Foxhole Court, because I got the special editions by Rainbow Crate, I think. Who were these special editions by? Does this say? Yeah, Rainbow Crate. I got the Rainbow Crate special editions, which are really gorgeous. Here's the first one, the Foxhole Court. Then we have the Raven King, gorgeous, and the Kingsman. So I reread these books in February, and they were most of my reading time. Really, I barely read anything new in February. And these books, I absolutely love them, and I actually find it really hard to rate them because I feel like I've read them so much that 5 stars, like I wouldn't give them 5 stars because they're not perfect, but I love these books and I've reread them many times, so 5 stars would feel natural. So I don't know, between 4 and 5 stars, take your pick. So these books follow the story of would you believe me if I told you that I forgot his name? Neil Justin, who is running away from his dad's men. His dad is a famous criminal known as the Butcher, who is very evil and bad and dangerous, and Neil is running away from him. Well, from his men, because his father is technically in jail. And he's been running away for pretty much his entire life alongside his mother, but after his mother passed away, he's left alone, and instead of following his mother's instructions and surviving, he decides to sign up for a team for an exit team for the University of Palmetto. Yeah, the Palmetto State University. So Neil, I don't know, signs up to play with Palmetto State University, becomes a Palmetto Fox, and he's gonna play this fictional sport called Exy, which is kind of like lacrosse and with a mix of hockey, but it's played on like a football or soccer field. It's a mix of things. And he signs up, but he realizes that in this team there is someone from his past that he wants to avoid, but he also admires a lot and wants to be closer to. And like he's very conflicted because he doesn't want to be recognized, because that would mean he can't stay, but he also wants to stay because Exy is his entire life. So we have that kind of like internal conflict here, and it's a very unique story. I will say. I feel like it's not for everyone because it's very graphic. In fact, these editions of Rainbow Crate have like the trigger warnings printed kind of at the beginning of the book, and it has some pretty serious topics. I feel like most topics are handled quite well, but I think these books are more enjoyable to people who grew up reading fanfic or grew up in Tumblr between like 2010 and 2015, which is a very specific niche, but I think it's the right niche for these books. I don't know, I absolutely love these books, and the short like the chapters, the extra chapters included in these books made me love the books even more, especially the extra chapter included in The King's Man. It was really good. It's a very complex book, and I wouldn't say it's a romance, but I will say there is romance, and it's very slow born if you like that kind of thing. So anyways, that was everything that I read for February, and now we're moving on to March. And for March, I'm gonna put this here. For March, I read the Simon Snow trilogy. I got these books from Facebook Marketplace. So they are secondhand, and they're a bit like they're in good quality. They're a bit like they're a bit yellow, they're a bit old, you know. I don't know how long this person had them for, but they're in a pretty good state. So the Simon Snow trilogy by Rainbow Rowell is a YA. It's classified as YA. I feel like I would classify it as new adult, but I don't know. I digress. It's a YA fantasy about Simon Snow, who is the first book in the first book, or where the story starts. He's on his last year at Watford Academy, Watford School, Watford School or Watford Academy. I don't remember the actual name. It's here. Who knows? Watford School of Magics. And he is the chosen one. Like his entire basically life since he was really young, I think they say like 10 or 11 years old, he was told that he was the chosen one, and that he was that he was or is the most powerful mage in the world of mages, and that he is like the one who is going to save the entire world of mages. And he is fighting this enemy called the Humdrum, who is stealing the magic away from the world of mages. And the way they explained it is that it's like the ozone layer. So the world is covered by a sort of layer made of magic, and the Humdrum is like eating spots into the layer, and the spots where that happens, they become dead spots, and mages cannot use magic there. I absolutely loved this trilogy. I don't really know much about the author. I think I read Fangirl like a few years ago, but I don't remember anything about it. But I absolutely loved this trilogy. I'm not gonna lie, I had zero expectations and zero faith at all in these books. I got them because they were like 100 pesos each, and some friends swore by these books, so I was like, you know what, sure, I need something new to read, and I want something that is like a series. I didn't want to read a standalone. I've been reading a lot of standalones, and I love standalones, but I wanted a series, right? So I was like, you know what, sure, whatever. I had zero expectations on this book. Like I even had negative expectations, I would say. Like I didn't expect them to be good at all. They are genuinely so freaking good. The magic system and the world building are so interesting and so well done. Like they sound really silly, but they make just perfect sense. And they are done in a way that serves the story really well. Like even if it sounds really silly, because the magic system works based on phrases that are used a lot by non-mages. I forgot what they call them. It was like I don't remember what they call them, but basically like normal people who cannot do magic, the words that they use a lot, those words carry magic and they can be used as spells. So, for example, this happens in England, so they have one phrase that is like clean as a whistle, that it will clean you, but like superficially, because whistles aren't all that clean, right? So I love the magic system so much. Like as a linguist, as a linguistics like major, someone who studied linguistics, this magic system is absolutely perfect. Like it makes just perfect sense. Um, and I was obsessed with it from the start. I had zero expectations on the plot. The plot was really good. The plot, genuinely, of the first book was so good. I think it was less so in the second and third books. Like the second and third books, I feel like it's less plot focused and more character growth focused, which is perfectly fine because the characters in this are lovely. The characters are so good. I love the characters so much. They are so important to me. I spent the last like 10 to 20 chapters, because it has a bunch of chapters because they're really short. I spent the last like 10 to 20 chapters of Carry On just crying, like a lot. And I feel like Carry On especially, it's a new comfort book for me. I gave Carry On 5 stars. Wayward Son, I give it 4 stars because I really liked how it expanded on the world building and the magic system. It was really interesting, but it felt like it was a transition book. Like, and you can see it in the length. Like, you can see how Carry On and Anyway the Wind Blows are really thick, and then Wayward Son is like really thin. It feels like a transition book. Like it just doesn't give you as much as Carry On and Anyway the Wind Blows do. And then Anyway the Wind Blows back up to 5 stars. It was really good. I absolutely loved it. I cannot say anything about it that isn't spoiler, so I won't say anything about it, but I definitely think that these books are a very good read if you want something that isn't like super heavy. It's not a heavy read, but it will still make you catch feelings and make you like feel things and kind of make you cry and stuff. I think these books are good for that. And again, amazing magic system. And then the last book that I read for March was actually an ARC, and I don't have it in physical for obvious reasons. And it was Dream the Deep. Dream the Deep is a novella about Rin, who is a scientist on like a secret mission of a group of people that are preparing to go to Mars. However, Rin loses that opportunity to go to Mars due to no fault of their own, and end up getting left behind. So they have to figure out kind of what their place is in the world now that they're not going to Mars anymore, which was kind of their dream, while also having to try to find a way to escape, because once the rocket launches, that place is gonna be blown to bits. It was a really interesting read. It was actually quite fun, and I was really invested in the world building of it. And I was really sad because it was really short, until I realized there's another novel that happens before this novella, so I really want to read that. It's with different characters though, so I'm a little bit worried about that because I really liked Rin as a character. But yeah, this book really gave me vibes of when I was a teenage Exocolonist, which is a video game that I really like and I absolutely recommend. And I think it was really well done. I feel like some people will find the dialogue and the narration kind of really clunky, but I feel like it's very authentic to who Rin is as a person. Like I think it fits their character, and I could even relate in some parts to the way that they were thinking, like they were processing their thoughts or they were speaking to other characters. It also has like the tiniest little bit of romance. The story happens in 5 days, so it's really hard to feel like an actually fully developed relationship in it, but it has like the start of a romance that I actually think it's quite promising, and I would love to read more of because I think they were really cute. I will warn you that the first chapter is really hard to read, because I know that this generally goes against the most common writing advice, which is don't start your books with a dream. This book starts with a dream, and you have to get through it. Okay, it's really good. and as you read, you realize that the only real way to start the book was with that dream. So like, you know, it's a bit complicated, but it was the best and the only way to start a book. So definitely check it out. It comes out, I think, on June. I will put the date somewhere in the screen because I don't remember. I have a bad memory for dates and names, as you can see. But yeah, definitely read it. So yes, that was everything that I read between the months of January and March. What did you read between the months of January and March, and what were the best books that you read? For me, it was definitely Don't Let the Forest In and Carry On and Any Way the Wind Blows. Those were like my best reads of the month. I think especially Carry On more than Any Way the Wind Blows. To be perfectly honest with you, I would read a full like 10-book saga of Simon Snow, but I understand why it doesn't exist, and that's fine. And I cannot wait to read more of CJ Drews, cause Don't Let the Forest In was really good. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you read any of these books, if you enjoyed them, or if you're interested in reading any of them, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye!